Defo and Lubie, the only show that covers food, sports, and the proper maintenance of your car. And now, a man who had the distinction of having an entire health clinic named in his honor, Mike Mayo.
I want the flim sauce with the awesome fave, with shafafa on the side.
Welcome to a special edition of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. It's so special that we're doing it without Mike Mayo. We have food on the table, and we have a special guest, as a matter of fact. And this gentleman really wrote one of the great sports stories that we've seen here. I've been in South Florida 42 years covering sports. Lubie, you're,
20 years covering
sports fan,
sports.
Since birth. And we've seen a lot of great things happen here, but I don't know that we saw anything as much of a magic carpet ride as FAU's ascent as a basketball power, going all the way to the Final Four and nearly making it into the championship game. And we welcome to the show here at Talia's Tuscan Table, by the way. Very happy to be returning here. We met Tom Herman here as he took over as the head coach of the FAU football team. And we were blown away by the food and everything and the hospitality here at Talia's Tuscan Table. A pleasure to introduce Dusty May, the head coach of the FAU basketball team, who and what's great is you're still here.
Yeah, we were all nervous.
Wow. We thought, how many times did Leon Rose contact your agent there? We had you penciled in for the Knicks job, but oh, my God, look at this. I hope you're hungry, Coach. I know you brought a couple of your players. Now, these guys don't look like they eat that much chow, but they run back and forth all day, so they probably
can those meatballs, they're keeping a close eye on them.
Yeah, they can down some calories. All right, before we get into the food, let's get into your story and talk about last season, because as we said, it was remarkable. You had a good year the year before. In your wildest imagination, though, Coach May, could you have anticipated the kind of run that you were going to go on, making it within an eyelash of winning the national championship?
Well, we did really think about the end result or the outcome.
We're going to fire the waiter, by the way. Special K here. Dropping all the silverware on the floor.
Dropping knives.
Yeah, come on, Special.
No, but we were very confident. And 2 years ago, we won 19 games and finished second in the second Conference USA East. And Nick Boyd was out injured most of the entire season. BJ Greenlee missed several games early. We added Jalen Gaffney to the mix. So we went from being a really good team to adding leadership, playmaking, shooting, and because of that, I think just we were able to overwhelm people with our guard play, and then everybody was older and more together than we'd ever been. So I actually listened to a clinic that I did a year ago this past weekend, and I was shocked at how confident I was going into the year. And it wasn't because we were returning guys from a 19-win year. It was because of how our guys worked, competed, and prepared every single day that gave our staff great confidence.
Well, it kind of rose to public attention with that long winning streak. What was it, 21 games?
20 games.
20 games.
Wow. 20 consecutive games.
And we had a friend of the show that we do, our sports show in the morning, which you appeared on. You were gracious enough to join us a few times. And hopefully, that was a good omen for you that you appeared on the show, because for a lot of people, it's been a career ender.
Thank goodness. It's usually the kiss of death.
Sometimes literally. But in this case, it was a good, fortunate, circumstance relationship. And, you started winning game after game, and then came to public attention. A guy that we know was saying, you've got to talk to this Dusty May. This is phenomenal. What's going on? When did it hit you that something, special was happening this year?
Well, we were disappointed when we went to Ole Miss the second game of the year and didn't play anywhere near our capabilities, made a lot of mistakes and errors. And then we went to Florida in Gainesville 4 or 5 days later. And that was the game.
Now that the food's on the table, he shows up. He wasn't going to. Mike Mayo.
To meet you, Mike Mayo. Sorry, I'm late for my own funeral, but
no worries. You're talking about this winning streak.
Well, then we go to Gainesville, and it was a road trip where we stayed on the road, and we really came together as a group. And then we felt like we probably outplayed them by 15-plus points. They banged in some threes. A reserve came in and banged in 3 or 4 threes late to keep them within striking distance. But that was a game that I think showed us how good we could be and gave us the confidence that, man, if we play well and we play together, we could really do special things. And from there, it just kind of steamrolled, and the guys just stayed together. They didn't get caught up in the noise and just continued to work and perform at a high level. and it's a throwback group where a lot of these young men today, they are, I don't want to say they're afraid of failure, but sometimes the confidence, lack of confidence creeps in. But our group is very confident. They work hard and they believe, and I think that was a big part of our success.
Well, and what's interesting, Coach, is it's not only what you did this year and your feeling of the year before. But we talked with Coach Larinaga actually early on in the middle of your 20-game win streak, because we talk with Coach Larinaga pretty regularly, and he brought you guys up. And it was interesting because he was like, we played them last year. You guys played like to the end, overtime, and they just edged you out. And he left that game going, uh-oh, Dusty has something cooking here. Did you start to feel that early on? I know you said you had 19 wins, second in conference, but could you feel it coming together? Because nationally, it really took to the tournament and people started talking about you. But locally, I was hearing really good things about your program from the year before.
Yeah, the year before we had Ken Palm, the analytics guy that almost every coach in the country uses, has a luck metric, and we were 357th out of 358 teams in luck.
Oh, geez.
And what that means is, for example, you'll play a team and they're starting, or let's say their backup center makes 4 threes against you, and he makes 6 total. So he makes 2 the other 30-plus games and 4 against you.
Oh, God.
And that kept happening. And we were a guard or 2 short. We played several games with a walk-on playing about half the game just because we had numbers issues early. And I think we didn't have that belief and that leadership on the court that could get us over the hump. And then this year was a complete opposite, where every one of those close games, we had a different look in our eye. We had the confidence that we'd been in those positions before. We had prepared for this moment, and there was no way that we were going down that night. We were going to find a way to win, whether it's get a stop, make the free throws, whatever the case. So I do think that internal belief allowed us to go from 19 to 34. In reality, I thought we were a 20-win team 2 years ago without the bad luck. And then this year, we went into the season saying if we didn't win 25 games, we would consider this year probably a failure.
Oh, wow.
We didn't tell our guys that, but in-house we said, man, we have a chance to be special. We need, hopefully 22, 25 wins at least, and that will put us in position to win a conference championship.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming and agreeing to do the Lunchbox live stream show, usually live stream, but this one we're taping for later in the week. And I don't know if the guys, I'm apologies, but this is South Florida traffic, 95, huge wreck. And you don't want to hear excuses. You're a coach.
Exactly.
I would be
coaches
excuses.
are incredibly on-time people. I mean,
No matter
they're
what.
punctual.
better than drummers when it comes to keeping time. It's
I'm
amazing.
usually
Yeah.
very, very punctual, but I got
Luckily,
to
your
take
team picked up for you.
I got to take the
Exactly.
scenic route. I forgot how beautiful that whole
It's a
Boca
great stretch.
coastline, that southern, where you got the South Beach Park and the Red Reef Park. Do you ever get down there and get to enjoy the sunshine and the beaches and the surf and the sand?
I'll give you 2 quick stories on that. Number one, when I left Florida to take this job, I didn't really want to leave. I loved the job there, loved our team. My family had settled in Gainesville and really didn't want to move. And someone talked to me and, hey, go take a look. And the GPS for some reason kicked me off in Delray. There must have been a wreck on 95.
Thank God for the
There
GPS.
was. Yeah.
And I took A1A all the way to the Boca Resort.
Yeah.
And as my wife and I are driving on in Highland Beach, looking out at the water, we're like, holy cow, that we have a chance to potentially live here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was the first one. And then in year one, we lost several tough games at home. And my wife and I kind of had a ritual where I go in Sunday morning, she would go to church, and then we would meet up and go for a long walk on the beach and just kind of appreciate where we were living when things weren't going quite as well.
Yeah.
So it was our time to kind of regroup.
Did you ever think about walking off the pier there in Delray?
I thought about
Because
just
I've thought
walking
about
out
it
of the ocean and just
many times.
continuing.
Yeah.
But I imagine you would just look at that view and say, all right, we're not at Murray State anymore. We're not at some of those stops early on. And I look, I mean, you've now reached these incredible success. I'm sure the guys kind of started off with the good news about now you got that preseason ranking of number 12, and welcome to now high expectations, right? And
Yeah, we're embracing the expectations. We feel like if you're not prepared, then it's pressure and anxiety on it. But if you're prepared, and our guys have prepared since the day the season ended last year, we tried to kick them out of the gym, and they just enjoy the work, the process. So I think that, if someone beats us, it's going to be because they had a heck of a game and played well, not because not because of anything we didn't do preparation wise or whatnot. But there have been several times whenever we've talked about, man, we've earned Boca with some of the places that we've lived, the small towns. we deserve this. We've done our time, and we're extremely happy.
this isn't the usual sports show. I don't know if you Special K
This
told
is my
you.
kind of sports show, right?
This is we do a little eating, a little talking, a little sports, but also just a little, personal background stuff. And and this is
He's showing amazing respect though, because he normally would have finished half of
we'll
these
get
dishes
there. We're gonna
before we
get-
got to this point, and
you-
giving you his thoughts
You
on
always
those.
got to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
repulsive stuff towards the end in
Yeah.
case it just has to go.
He will
running
end
out
up
the
eating
door.
one of those whole sandwiches in one bite. It's the one bite challenge at the
I
end
don't
of
know
the
if
show.
your colleague Tom Herman told you about his
Yeah.
experience here, but there was.
It's like shooting free throws in the clutch. I mean, he just always comes through with that.
Well, he was living in the dorms on campus for a couple months. I think that was during the time, so I'm sure he
Oh,
appreciated
geez.
the hot meal.
he did appreciate it. He was.
Yeah.
It was good. So here we are. You're in Boca. You are now, after the Final Four, and now number 12 going into the preseason. But I want to go back because I love getting into people's backgrounds. And born in, was it Peoria?
No, born in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Terre Haute. Okay,
Terre
so
Haute.
I don't. I guess Wiki got that wrong.
Okay, all right.
But you're an Indiana guy, and this is a food show. 2 questions for you. The pork tenderloin sandwich, is that like one of the mainstays of your youth? And did you find anything like it here in South Florida since?
No, I haven't seen one since I don't think I've seen one since I left Indiana, but
Oh,
absolutely,
wow.
absolutely. The bun is about 4 inches
Right.
in diameter.
And the pork is like
And the
the size
tenderloin
of
is
this
about
piece.
13 inches. So they actually, there's a place not far. There's an Amish community not far from where I'm from. It's Odin, and they have a tavern. And typically, if anyone in my wife's family's driving through Odin or around there, they stop at the meat locker to get all their beef and everything fresh. And then they stop and they grab a big sack full of tenderloins.
Oh, yeah?
And
Are they still making the heaters at that? I don't
it's
know
the
if you ever
paper
saw
bag.
that.
It's the brown paper bag. But that and the state fair, I think the only 2 places you can still get one. But yeah, absolutely. Growing up, we ate pork tenderloins.
Pork
and-
tenderloin.
yeah.
Well, I got a tip for you. There's a place called Culver's. It's a chain,
Okay.
but there's one in Margate, and they do one of those pork tenderloin
Really?
sandwiches.
Okay.
So if
Culver's
you
it
ever get
is.
homesick all the
The
way
custard
home,
place, Culver's.
yeah,
Okay,
the custard
absolutely.
place Culver, and they're opening up more of them. So number 2, I guess, what I know that you were student manager under Bobby Knight at Indiana. After being around Bobby Knight, that actually inspired you to become a coach, I imagine, right?
Well, before I wanted to be a high school coach my entire life because of the impact my coaches had on me. And I went to Indiana. I played Division II basketball one year. Had a miserable experience. I wish I could blame the coach or any other anything else, but I didn't play well. I lost my confidence and wasn't enjoying playing, and didn't think that was the best way for me to become a varsity coach shortly after getting out of college. So decided to go back to Indiana to learn from Coach Knight because I thought it would help me move up the coaching ladder. And I think it was my second year. One of the assistants asked me what I was going to do, and I said I'm going to be a coach. And he said high school or college, and I didn't know I had that option. So with that being said, I changed my major from education to history, stopped going to class, started driving the assistant coaches to recruiting trips, coaching AU ball in the summer, and really went all out. I'm fairly impulsive by nature and went all out on trying to become a college basketball coach. And
So you knew it from the beginning. Like, that's it. You were zeroed in. And did you ever do any other odd jobs on the side to supplement your coaching income?
Yeah, I hustled a lot. So with basketball, my first job was at Southern California, and I think I brought home $1,100 a month, and my rent was $15, and I had a car note and whatever else. Fortunately for me, my wife was an occupational therapist. She's my girlfriend at the time. We moved in together. She supported me, but I would go to local parks at 7 a.m. and work out, 5, 8-year-olds in the mornings, and then go to work, and maybe on Sunday evenings. So yeah, you did what you could to hustle. And then in LA, there's some ticket brokers. So you'd hustle some tickets and scalp and things like that. So yeah, you got to survive
Resourceful,
somehow.
yeah.
Very resourceful. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
want I think it's been past 7 years, so I could talk about things like that, but
No, yeah, it's all good.
yeah.
So did you ever work in the food or restaurant business?
Yes. I waited tables. I started working when I was probably 13, doing odd jobs and whatnot. I did everything you could imagine. I worked in a restaurant called O'Charlie's. I was a waiter for a couple summers.
Was that like a beef place? Or was that
No, it's kind of like just an American, like the rolls and normal American food. They're big, in the Midwest. And then I did furniture warehouses. I delivered furniture. I mowed a lot of grass. I did a little bit of everything. I worked tobacco farms. I worked turkey farms, baled hay, baled straw, you name it.
What'd you do at turkey farms?
You don't want to know. Typically, they move. when you see these turkey barns, it's probably the worst job I ever had. And now you have to basically clean a barn and then basically make a tunnel from one barn to the other so you can transfer the turkeys to the barn or into a truck or whatever. And then you have to clean that barn.
Okay.
So you have these little shakers and you're moving them out in groups, and you're trying, they have to be small enough groups where they don't kill each other and trample each other. Yeah. And it smells terrible. The ventilation's awful. Yeah, but you like everything else.
But you didn't have to do any like plucking them or
no,
putting them down or anything.
They get
like
on
that.
the truck and they go to wherever they
Okay,
go.
well, but it seems like you remember that like it's yesterday. Like I can see your face.
Yeah.
How do you use that for your life now? Because it feels like if you haven't made it, you're pretty close to it, and you're sitting here with a program. I don't know about top 12. I've heard top as high as top 5. Like you're going to be one of the favorites this year to win the national title. You're returning almost your entire squad that was 2 minutes away from being in a championship game and possibly winning a title. How do you use that for where you are now? Because it feels like it's humbled you to really, like, you considered staying in Gainesville and turning down a head coaching job. Like, that's pretty impressive. And you turned down opportunities this offseason to stay here and see this through. How does your early days affect what you're doing now and how you coach your kids now?
I think when I grew up in a very blue collar family, I think everyone I grew up with just my mom, but everyone with the last name May. I think I was the first male to ever go to college.
Oh, wow.
The rest were in the coal mining business. So
Really?
Underground mines, welding or electrical work, whatever the case. So a very blue collar approach to everything that I do. And I'm also appreciative of the money that we make as coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot, but it's our values are usually established.
What's your mom do? Single
Yeah,
single.
she actually got pregnant when she was in college, dropped out, and worked in a grocery store and whatnot, and then ended up becoming a receptionist for a small engineering firm. And went to college at night and got her degree, and then ended up being head of HR and doing very well for a technology.
And you have
firm.
siblings? You had.
I have an older brother that's a foreman in the Carpenters Union construction, builds very, very good builder and established. And then my younger sister works for.
So you seem especially grounded, so that when people say, "Oh, this contract, you're getting paid so little compared to some of the elite big school coaches," but in your mind, you're getting paid pretty good money to do something you've always dreamt of doing, right?
I think we're all grossly overpaid. Granted, I'll take it, but we literally get to do something that I would do for expenses if I had the opportunity.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
don't ever tell him that.
My wife won't let me. Don't give me.
I do it for pizza. It's kind of sad, but
Well, I have a lot of expenses, so I have three boys and 2 in college. So
wow.
I don't know if they could pay me expenses as many as I have, but no, very grateful for what I do, get to do every single day. And I've never been driven by money. Obviously, money gives us all security and freedom to do what we may with our time. But for the most part, I just feel grateful that I get to go to work every day and have a blast.
that's great. And again, when you have passion and then you bring joy to the job and you're able to get and recruit and people, make it a positive atmosphere, and here you are enjoying success. A totally unanticipated to most people, but maybe not to you and your staff, Final Four run. Do you get recognized when you go out and about now? Do you get tabs picked up for you when you go out to restaurants locally?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I never had before, and I don't eat out much anyway. I'm a homebody. We grab
Really?
food and take it home just by nature. When we work, and as coaches, I learned this recently with a coach, with someone that I had working with me, helping me out. He said basically coaches, teachers are performers, and so you always have to be on. You always have to be essentially performing. And so when you're done, you're usually exhausted. And so that's kind of how it is where, my wife, she's not around people and I'm around the staff and players all day. And so when I'm not at work, I just want to be quiet and read or do whatever, watch film and read. And so we don't go out much. But to answer your question, yeah, I had a friend in town that was dropping her daughter off at FAU from Gainesville. My wife and I were at lunch with her and her daughter, and some nice FAU grads picked up the check at American Social last week.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Jay Alexander's across the street. First day back, I tried to pay, and the manager came out and said, "Nope, your money's no good here." So I probably don't eat out enough. That might be incentive to get me out more.
Yeah.
I've been very grateful, and I went from never being recognized a year ago to now. I was in Italy watching my middle son play on a traveling tour, and I was in the Florence airport, and people were coming up saying, "Hey, coach, we loved watching your team play."
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and my family have told me, I had a cousin vacationing in Michigan, and it's maybe Mackinac Island or someplace where they don't really have internet or cars. and she had an FAU shirt on, and people were saying, hey, what's your connection to FAU? And they said, oh, my cousin's the coach or whatever. And they're like, man, we loved watching that team play.
What?
We become
That's great.
fans. So it's been really neat to see fans all over.
Are
the
you
country.
comfortable with that? Do you like, being recognized and fame? And
If I had a choice, I would say no. But I don't mind it. It comes with the job, and we fought really hard for several years to try to bring some attention and recognition to our program.
Yeah.
And so we just feel like, you just feel like you'd be very hypocritical now that you're getting that attention that you were fighting so hard for to now complain about it. And, I say that we could do that, but it wouldn't be right. And so we just try to, just appreciate what it is. And with that, we'll be sellout crowds and people paying attention to our guys and helping them with NIL deals and try to help the program. So there's definitely a positive to it, and we're going to embrace that.
Nice. So a million years ago, I used to be a sports columnist at the Sun Sentinel. And earlier today, we were talking with my former colleague and still friend. I don't know why he still talks to me, Dave Hyde. And he told us a story about how he came in and chatted with you a little bit, I guess, during that big winning streak, and that your office was on the second floor. It was perched next to a basketball backboard hoop that people were shooting. And so every time you're trying to do some work, there's like a thud of a shot or banking off the backboard.
Is that still the case?
Well, I wish
Tell me they moved your office.
No, I wish it was the second floor. It was actually the shooting court is above my office. And believe it or not, the floors aren't soundproof. So if someone's shooting, the ball's bouncing. A lot of times, Nick Boyd and John L, these guys, they come in early, and I usually go in early to read and get prepared for the day. And I hear that ball bouncing. Now, the good sign of it is it gives me an opportunity to know they're there and I can go talk to them and whatnot. But the bad side of it is if you're not wearing headphones, it's a big bass drum just pounding all day. But once again, I wouldn't trade it because that means our guys are putting in the work. So
not that you want to be a diva or anything, but you put a rider in the contract that you need soundproof.
You just got an extension.
Yeah.
We've requested a training facility, and they've done a great job raising funds in general with the naming rights of the court, naming rights of the building. So there's going to be some improvements. We're trying to, capitalize on the run that we had and make it where it's
a progression, right?
Yeah, it's a progression. And obviously you don't just build things overnight, but
right.
They're in the works. We feel like we're going to have a nice place to train as we get players who are really serious about the game to bring in to have the
and
right
every
training.
time you hear that noise, that thud, you say, I could be scooping up turkey shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'd be a lot worse.
Absolutely. If anyone's ever cut tobacco, it's you're back.
I have never done that. And
if it smelled as bad, it would be as bad.
Oh man. Defo, what's I guess you are tight with Larinaga. I don't know if Dusty knows that, right?
Well, yeah, we we established a relationship. I wouldn't say I was tight with him, except that comes on our show frequently, and we share a lot of old school basketball stories and had some things in common. Believe it or not, even though he was a much more accomplished player and obviously been in the game a long time, but knew some of the same people playing ball in the streets of New York there, and. He's great, but one of the things that he said, and this was kind of a concept that didn't really sink in a couple of years ago when this name, image, and likeness came along. He was saying people don't know what kind of, to quote the great wrestling announcer Gordon Sully, what kind of pandemonium this was going to create. And it strikes me, that this would be something you wouldn't even be accustomed to with Bobby Knight, where you had to recruit your own players. I mean, he might have had to convince a few to stay, but where you're literally having to sell your own players on your own program during the course of a year where you're having a phenomenal year to make sure you still have a team, because especially in the situation FAU is in. How does that dynamic work for you? Because you managed to retain just about everybody you had on the squad last year and add in some more talent.
Well, we had a lot of built-in benefits with our guys still feeling like there was unfinished business with us. We want to play one more game and see where we are, but also they love playing with each other. And our game has become so individual at times that our guys, they share, they sacrifice, they play team basketball with a high level competitive spirit. So, and then I think that just the fear of the unknown of what else is out there. And they probably all could have made more money than they're making here, just like the staff probably could have made a jump and done more. But it's not just about money. It's long-term We have to provide a great work environment where they feel like long-term this is the best place for them, and also competitive short-term as well.
Yeah, it's great.
And because of Boca and our supporters and people stepped up, our guys have done relatively well for our level and capitalizing on the run and their success. And you still need more to keep it going, but it got us to this year, and very grateful for everybody that stepped up. But it's more than that. It's the love our guys have for each other, and also building a program. I mean, they're leaving a legacy here that they're going to bring their kids back and grandkids back in 50 years and say that's what Grandpa did. That's a pretty cool deal.
Does recruiting get much easier after a season like that, or?
It did. We've got 3 commitments, and we feel like if it wasn't for the run, we would still be fighting like crazy to get these commitments. So we'd be recruiting the same guys, but we just got them. We were so much more visible, and we were what they wanted. So I don't want to say it was easier because the staff did a great job of identifying them early and whatnot, but it definitely wasn't how it's been in the past where we had to fight like crazy until signing day. So we recruited the same guys. We did get them a lot quicker than we normally have in the past.
Great recruiting tool, though. You get a couple of aerial shots of the Boca area.
Yes.
As Mike described the ride up here, I took that same ride up A1A. Beautiful. I had to remind myself, why don't I stop watching TV and get out and just drive around, and I'd appreciate life a lot more. And then I would maybe get a couple of, ground level shots of Murfreesboro. And then maybe highlight that with a couple of clips of you putting it on Middle Tennessee State. Although, did they snap the streak? Middle Tennessee State?
No, UAB snapped it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, UAB snapped the 20-game winning streak, but I'm
very favorable though recruiting tools you have
I'm
here.
pleading the fifth on that. I don't need the mayor of Murfreesboro. I made a joke about the Tennessee Volunteers physicality before the tournament. I couldn't get on Twitter for about a week. So. I'm gonna act like I didn't hear any of that.
That'd be a lot of fun though with the crowds you were attracting too, because. And I would imagine season tickets probably are sold out. Did you have to blow up the gym and expand it? Is there a Howard Schnellenberger gymnasium now? Well, we were joking. They used to, if you gave away Gucci bags to the first 1,000 people, you might have drawn 1,001 back in the day at FAU. And here you guys were, at a premium to get into these games.
Well, our first couple of years, I think we had more people here at Talia's than we did in the gym.
The sound of the ball is especially,
But I turn on the heat games, and it's hard to get the heat to fill up that arena in regular season. It's just South Florida. It's anywhere. I lived in LA and worked at SC, and it was the same problems there. So we didn't expand our gym, but they've definitely upgraded it. They've added more floor seating. I think we're close to selling out every home game next year. So it's become a big ticket. And that's the objective. We went 17-0 last year, and we think at home 17-0, and the home court environment that our students and local fans and everyone were able to create became one of the better ones in the country. It was loud, and they were into the game, and we're still growing it where it becomes where they put our games on their schedule. But we feel like we're really close, and one more big year, we feel like we'll have a lot of this younger local generation hooked on FAU basketball.
That's good. I mean, look, this has long been known as football country, and to see the success that you had, and then Coach Larrañaga down at U, it's great. It was an unbelievable run. It was an unbelievable spring, and we just hope it keeps going forward into bigger and better things.
And then not to cut you off, but you factor in what Nova Southeastern's
Nova undefeated
level. The rumors are they might be switching over to Division I sooner than later. The Miami Heat obviously have it rolling, and hopefully they can add a piece or two.
Who knew? And you thought growing up in Indiana that was Hoosiers and basketball country, and Gene Hackman measuring the hoop and all that, and Bobby Knight throwing shit. What was he like, really? I mean, was he a complicated person, or what was it like to, be a student manager and kind of come up and around him?
Well, when you grow up in Indiana, for example, we didn't have a satellite dish or cable TV. So the only time I was able to stay out past my bedtime was when we would go to someone else's house to watch IU games on Monday at 9:30 and get home at midnight. It's a religion. Your high school basketball seasons, they don't schedule the games until IU schedules their games.
Really? That's a real thing. Wow.
That's a real thing. So if IU plays on Wednesday, you're playing the high school game on Thursday, Saturday, as opposed to Wednesday, Saturday. Everything is scheduled around Indiana basketball. So growing up, it's you just try to go to the basketball camp or you try to get an autograph from Coach Knight. I mean, I say this, I'm not Catholic, but it'd be like the Pope to all of us in Indiana. I mean, he was our icon. So he's so intimidating, but I mean, he was so bright, so just engaging too. It's what you see on TV was such a small snapshot or glimpse of how he really was as a person.
Okay.
He challenged you every day. You had to be on your toes. Probably the thing, I've had a lot of questions of what I learned from him. I think the one thing that I don't know if I learned it from him or just he accentuated this in all of us. You had to be on your toes, thinking ahead, problem solving before there may even be a problem. And so there's checklists for everything. There's principles and systems for everything that you do. And so he prepares you to go into whatever it is next. And then you realize once you get to that next thing that all these other people, they weren't trained like you were trained. So I feel like that preparation set me apart and enabled me to make big jumps in my career because I was competing against other young people that didn't have that background.
Yeah. And to get to this point, it's kind of a little bit of fate. You talk about driving around and seeing the nice scenery, but it's also a matter of the coach that you were working for at UF. His brother is the athletic director here. I mean, if that relationship wasn't in play, do you think you would be in this job and in this position now? Or
well, even deeper than that, Brian, our athletic director here, was our associate athletic director at Louisiana Tech.
Oh, wow.
I was associate head coach, so he was in administration. We were winning 3 straight championships and had it rolling with a group that was a lot like our guys. And so I think that, in addition to just obviously you have someone and Coach White really pushing me and selling him on my positives. So I would assume that most of what he ever heard was positives. And because of that, he felt comfortable bringing me down. And they offered me the position after meeting with the board and president and everyone about 3 hours after I'd been here. So it was a quick a courtship. And, like I've told several people, I'm relatively impulsive by nature and I jumped on it and the rest is history.
What do you take? Okay, because you said it. He wasn't behind closed doors the way the rest of us saw him to be, but we also saw his coaching style. And we've talked with you. We've met your players. It feels like you have a very different relationship with your players than Coach Knight had with
also
his.
Different with the press, I would say. A little more affable and approachable, I would say. Than you wouldn't want to ask Bobby Knight a question about almost anything, because he could immediately reverse it and say, "What are you talking to me about that for?"
So what do you take from him? Because it worked then, but as with transfer portals, NIL, the player empowerment, and I think for the better, right?
Yeah.
Players bust their butt. They should see a little back in their favor. What do you take from him that still applies to today?
To be honest, I take so much of what I learned from Coach Knight, the way he taught. And I realized during COVID that I wasn't a good enough teacher. I needed to really improve in that area. And so the teaching, the efficiency of language, the communication with your players, the afterthought of when they're done, you're in their corner forever. Like Coach Knight, when those guys 20, 30 years later, if they ran into hard times, he had them a job, whatever they needed to get back on their feet. So I think it was a different era and a way things were done differently back then. And we communicated differently and men acted differently towards men. Yeah. And so it's hard to compare eras. It's like the NBA players, like how do you compare Havlicek to Steph Curry? Like you just can't, because everything is different. So I look at it like that, but he did so much for so many people. And the lack of approachability probably was by design, because if he he'd
get mobbed too much.
He wouldn't get anything else done.
He opened up to Feinstein, right? That's your boy,
well, you
John
let Feinstein in there for
Until
the season on the brink.
Until the book was released.
After that, the relationship wasn't so favorable. Did he resent guys like Jimmy Boeheim for getting away with the 2-3 zone for all those years? I mean, anytime we were in a park, it wasn't even. It was like the signal was, "Let's go, Bobby Knight," and you naturally rolling into a man-to-man and setting picks away from the ball and doing a lot of motion offense. Did he not like zone defenses, or did he eventually capitulate and start using them on?
Never played zone, but did evolve. And my last couple of years there is he started switching a lot of stuff off the ball and on the ball. So that's kind of where I started I picked up my affinity for switching, because I saw how disruptive it could be back then. but yeah, we never played a minute of zone. He's a true.
He hated Boeheim. In other words.
He did not like Boeheim, and and there are a couple other coaches. I don't want to go on record. Because, who knows? But I remember when he was telling a story, and he went public with this. It was, I think, the '87 tournament. And they're playing LSU and Shaq and Stanley Roberts and Singleton and all those guys. And LSU led most of the game, and there's a couple minutes left, and Indiana made a charge and took over and won the game. And he made a comment in the press conference. He was really concerned until he looked down and saw Del Brown on the other bench. And,
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to start a squabble with a coach that he didn't get along with. So.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like that. Hey, I'm going to bring it back to your past. And again, this is a food show, and we've been very refined. I think it's
I don't know.
But
I've
this
never
is
seen
actually
that.
impressive
Yeah,
that
yeah.
no one's eating.
I'm going
This
to
is
dig
very
in a
atypical
second,
of a Mayo
but
food
I'm
show.
going to
yeah.
do it in a minute. But I'm going to run down, I guess, your past and I guess assistant jobs. You said you were in California at
Yeah, I
one
was
point.
at USC right out of college, and Coach Knight, Henry Bibby was the head coach there at USC, and he had a director of operations spot open. And essentially, he had to let a former NBA player go. So he's sitting on the road recruiting, and he's sitting next to Mike Davis and John Treelor, two guys
wow.
he coached against in the CBA. Said, "Man, I feel terrible. I had to let my guy go, but I need to find somebody that will work." And they said, "Oh, wait, we have a guy for you."
Yeah.
And so then one thing led to another. Coach Knight called, and I went out and I get off the plane for an interview. And this is in the Pac-10 at the time for a top 25 basketball team as a director of operations out of college. And we got off the plane, and Coach Bibby said, "Hey, here's the plan. I'm going to take you to the office. We're going to go get something to eat. I'm going to take you to the office. You're going to do a couple projects. And now, unless you're the village idiot, the job is yours, and we're going to enjoy the weekend." He said, "Because if you can work for that beat, Coach Knight, you can work for it."
You can work anywhere.
Yes.
So where did he take you? Did you go to Pink's? Did you go to In-N-Out Burger, or you don't even
No,
remember?
we didn't. We went to a couple more local spots. Coach Bibby wasn't eating fast food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was he eating?
He ate nice restaurants.
Okay.
I don't remember now, but yeah.
All right,
Pink's is
because I was going to
awesome.
ask you, did you ever go to like Wolfgang Puck's, Spago, and all that stuff?
I've been to most of those places after I left LA. I told you how much I
Yeah,
made,
at that
so I
point,
wasn't eating
at that point, you were
Yeah.
struggling to get to
we're
Pink's.
99-cent store. That's where we ate
When you were in Eastern Michigan, did you eat Coney dogs? Is that one
a
of the
few times. Yeah, I ate Coney dogs, donuts. There was a little Mexican spot right by campus. I'm typically kind of a local spot where I don't eat a lot of chains, but yeah, just find the local Mexican, Italian, Chinese, whatever, and then
And you're good to
get 'em
go.
in the
Murray
rotation.
State. Did you ever eat burgoo in Kentucky?
I did not.
No,
Okay.
he didn't know what it is.
Shout out to a pizza place there, Matt B's, right off campus. Probably one of the best pizza places,
There
and
you
I'm
go.
a pizza connoisseur.
University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Yes,
I imagine
UAB.
some barbecue, white sauce barbecue.
All types of barbecue. Yeah, probably 3 or 4 of the best restaurants are in Birmingham. Really underrated city.
Oh, good.
Great food, great people. There's the mountains in the background.
I was there covering a PGA championship one year, Shoal Creek. There was a little
Okay.
controversy around that, and but really nice town, and yeah, there was some good eating.
I'm not a golfer,
Yeah.
but they have great courses. And then, unfortunately, it seems as if Atlanta's moving west towards
Yeah.
Alabama.
Louisiana Tech. You ever eat turtle soup in Louisiana?
I've had turtle soup. In Louisiana was more the alligator,
Gator.
gator tail,
Real.
and fried gator, and then a lot of the
Did
the-
you have to
the
dig into some of
crawfish.
that on a recruiting trip ever?
we I'll try anything once. And to be honest, there's
That's
I
what
don't
most
think
coaches say.
Oh, don't say that, because now you're in South Florida. You know what's become a big delicacy?
what's that?
Iguana.
Okay, I would try it once.
You
Oh,
would?
good for you.
Yeah, I've tried. I've tried just about anything. I have,
That's very
I-
brave.
yeah,
When
I would-
I was the food critic at the Sun Sentinel for a few years, and I was scheduled to go to a backyard barbecue featuring iguana, and it got rained out. And I
Okay.
got to say,
so you've never had it.
never got rescheduled, and I wasn't too upset about that.
Yeah. There's plenty of iguana running around if you
call-
like it.
Chicken of the trees, they call it.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I gotta thank you for all coming by
Oh,
today, and I know
enjoyed
your
the time,
time
yeah.
is
Yeah.
precious. It's all good, and I don't know. You got to dig in.
I'm
Eat a
digging
little
in.
bit.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
To FAU
Yeah.
hoops.
And
Cheers.
here's to a great
Everything else,
upcoming
yeah.
season. And they didn't even give you a drink here.
He,
No, I've
he
got my
has his
water,
own
yeah,
water.
yeah,
He's
I
on
got
a,
water.
Yeah.
he has his
I eat
pizza.
like a wolf,
He's
so I had to
on a-
wait till we're done.
He's on a regimen.
I'm sure he looks he's like he's getting into fighting shape. This is
Preparing for season.
when does the practices start for
Well,
the season?
We've started now 4 hours a week on the court, 4 hours in the weight room and conditioning, and then in about 3 weeks weeks we'll go up to 20 hours a week. So
All good.
that we ease into it, but it's a lot of time to get better if we're efficient with it.
Well, he's Dusty May. He is the head coach at Florida Atlantic University Owls. Do you have to hoot ever? Is that part of the job, or is
No, the FA? You know, I've heard people around town want to kind of rebrand it to Florida Atlantic over FAU.
Yeah.
And I'm at a crosshair because a lot of my relatives, my wife has a couple of nieces that are small. And they got so involved in our run at New York and whatnot. When they get excited at home, they start like when whatever Christmas morning, wherever they start chanting FAU, FAU, like that's their excitement. And they don't even, I don't know if they realize what they're cheering, but they equate their most exciting moments with FAU.
Yeah,
So,
great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Looking for a lot more of that this year.
no
Yeah,
question.
all good. Well, again, thanks for putting up with some of my silly food questions. But, this is the one show where when I ask,
Coach.
what did you have for breakfast? I really mean it.
I'm not a breakfast guy, but that was one thing. Biscuits and sausage gravy is kind of my
Oh, I
go-to, and my
love
son's
biscuits and
go-to.
gravy.
And that was,
Oh, my God.
it's hard to find in Florida.
There is
so.
a
There's a
place, Hen and the Hog, here
Okay.
Yes.
on a Federal, right here in Boca,
Okay.
that has a good biscuits and gravy. They
Noted.
changed chefs recently. I don't know if it's still as good, but I could recommend that.
I
Hen
think
and the
Tom
Hog.
Sawyer's has it as
Tom
well.
Sawyer's. I'm not people.
Okay.
It's one of those places I hear a lot of good things about, and I'm not as thrilled as others.
Okay.
If you ever want to find the best briskets and gravy, you're gonna have to take a little trip up to Lake Worth. It's a place called Clary's Corner. It is a bizarre place. It's in the ground floor of a assisted living building.
Larry's Corner.
And it has some of the greatest breakfast food, including
Biscuits
the
and
best
gravy.
biscuits and gravy
Okay.
I've had in South Florida. And take it from me, I'm a man who's had my share.
Well, you'll have one more subscriber when I get home tonight. Look forward to
Nice.
it. Yeah.
We appreciate
Very
it.
good.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Appreciate
Join the
it.
crowd.
Dusty,
Yeah.
good luck with everything. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate
let's take a break, and we'll be back with more of this lunchbox from Talia's Tuscan Table in beautiful Boca Raton after these words. Mayo here for Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Since 1951, family owned for over 70 years, the home of freshness. I've been a customer for over 3 decades, and it's the place to go for poultry, steaks, meats, and of course, their unbelievable selection of fish and seafood. They've got it all. Key West pink shrimp, grouper, snapper, lobster, and of course, Florida stone crab claws of all sizes. Don't forget their famous fish dip and a full selection of prepared foods. It's located at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood, just across from the Seminole Classic Casino. Owner Doug Carter and crew will take great care of you. Make sure to check out their weekly specials and daily catch online at DelawareChicken.com. Quality, value, freshness, that's the Delaware way. Tell them Mike Mayo and the Lunchbox sent you. Do you like pizza? Who doesn't like pizza? Well, my spot for pizza is the Pizza Spot. It's in that little bit hard to find Riverside Park neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, but it's totally easy to love. It's at 601 Southwest 12th Avenue, New Haven style, a pizza from Wade and Reese. It's a lovely outdoor spot. You could also pick up pies to go at 754-779-7788, 754-779-7788. Again, they're open every day but Monday for lunch and dinner. Some of the best pizza I've ever had. Go to Pizza Spot. They also have subs, salads, and more. Tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you. If you like seafood in a comfortable setting, outdoors, even keel fish shack at the corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea, that's my spot. It's upscale food in a down-home setting. The chef owners, Dave and Brad, do a terrific job with all the seafood classics that you want. They have the best grilled oysters in town, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, and deli fish specials. They also have weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. They have deli happy hour 4 to 7, and they also have other weekly specials like mussels on Monday and oysters on Tuesday. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack and tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. It's Mayo for Gilbert's 17th Street Grill. You know me, I love family-run places with quality food at fair prices served with passion and pride. And that's why I love Gilbert's. For more than a decade, Lenore, Beth, and Richie Gilbert have been serving up the best burgers, wings, ribs, salads, and desserts. It's a fast casual spot Everything prepared fresh to order from an immaculate open kitchen. They're at 1821 Cordova Road in Fort Lauderdale in the Cordova Shops just south of 17th Street. Open every day but Sunday. One of my favorite burgers in South Florida. Big, round, juicy pucks of 100% Angus beef, char grilled to perfection. And don't miss the sweet potato fries on the side. They're legendary. Go to Gilbert's, feast, and be happy. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. When I'm looking for some wicked good food for a wicked good lunch, there's only one place to go. That's Wicked Cheesesteaks in Fort Lauderdale. It's at 4824 North Federal Highway, just south of Commercial Boulevard and across from Holy Cross Hospital. My friend Brian there, he will hook you up with some really tasty treats. They've got cheesesteaks, just like the best you can find in Philly, along with lobster rolls, because that's where he's from, Maine originally. And they have wings and pizza and everything you want to have a really good time. Wicked Cheesesteaks, they're open every day but Tuesday. Check them out online, wickedcheesesteaks.com. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. If you're looking for a great place for steaks, seafood, and more, go to Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of I-95 in the airport. They've been there a long time, since 1949. That means they're doing something right. You'll get old school hospitality from the Studiali family, along with great value, for tremendous service. Of course, you could also go into the bar for happy hour every day, 4 to 6. The early bird special runs from 4:30 to 5:30, and they have great value all night long. Also, a butcher shop that's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday. The dining room is open every day at 4:30 except Sunday. Go to Tropical Acres. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. Welcome back. We're at Talia's Tuscan Table in beautiful Boca Raton, and we just had a really nice chat with Coach Dusty May of the FAU basketball program. What'd you think, Defo? That's
very enjoyable. We've talked to Coach May before, mostly, stayed on the basketball topic, and, he was very straightforward and always, accommodating in his answers, but would say things that, gave a little bit of detail and depth about what was going on. But it was an unknown commodity. I mean, sometimes sports stories come literally out of nowhere. And
Yep.
I would have to say, and I follow all of the local teams. Naturally, University of Miami gets most of the attention. But Lubie and I are very diligent on our sports shows about staying in touch with FIU and FAU. And
Yep.
felt like we always had good relations. But in a million years, I could have never predicted that you were going to have a team that was going to attract that kind of national attention and then distinguish itself by justifying whatever hype they were getting during the course of the season in the 20-game winning streak, and almost took the national championship. Pretty much had San Diego State by the jugular. Unfortunately, we were.
I wasn't going to
commenting-
revisit that last 2 minutes. There was
Well,
no
I
need
mean,
to
but
do that.
all
It was
season long we were
impressive,
talking
though. It was
about,
impressive.
we invented a term, late game resiliency, which it seemed FAU was always displaying.
The whole tournament they did.
They were coming through in the clutch, and the other teams were
There goes
falling
Lubie.
apart.
He's cutting things up into small
Well,
pieces again.
There's
Well, he's
only
a
one
human
for the
being,
three of us.
Meanwhile, Coach.
But it turned out to be one of the great stories.
Oh, it was a great story, and it's a continuing great story. I mean, he's staying. He's got a contract extension. He says he wants to finish what he started, and I assume that means going all the way, not just Final Four, but championship game.
Think
and
about how
championship.
prohibitive it is, though. I mean, these top programs now,
It might not.
they throw millions of dollars at kids to come from other schools.
It's actually really impressive. The fact, like, after that's what a lot of people thought was they were going to either get the kids were going to go to the league or be sort of people were going to have their pick of the litter when it came to FAU around the country because they had just made this run. And John L., who was just here with us, was a guy that was making big shot after big shot, a guy that had a shot to go to the league, had a shot to go to other schools. And the fact that he kept that group together is actually really impressive because there was a lot of money being thrown at him, and FAU could not compete with that.
Right.
So the fact that this team just wants to give it a go, I'm really impressed by it.
That's
And I
a good
admire him.
sign when a winning team stays together, and it's not just about money; it's about something special. And look, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what this season brings. All I know is that it was a delight, and I love sitting down. And this is probably why I didn't stay in sports, because I just can't hew to the X's and O's and talking about recruiting. I love knowing about the past and getting, I guess, not recruited, but getting, I guess, enticed to go work at USC with Henry Bibby and going and being wined and dined and going to nice restaurants.
Bobby Knight, yeah.
And Bobby Knight. And working at Charlie O's and scooping up the
the
coops
turkey
and the
stuff, yeah.
stalls at Turkey. That's the kind of thing that you learn about what makes people tick. And again, again, Midwestern guy. This is why I couldn't.
You don't find a lot of coaches, although you have them now, in later life. But you don't find a lot of coaches that say, I grew up going to the track every day.
Yeah. It's funny.
They're usually pretty disciplined about what they do and how they go about their business. So,
Well-
although, there are many characters in the business as well.
Yeah. No, obviously, sports attracts all kinds, and people that don't want to do 9 to 5 jobs wearing a suit and tie. But of course, the hours are longer, and the pay is usually much worse for the early years, and only a very select few ever make it to the to the top where you actually get those 7-figure or 8-figure contracts
Let's
these
pay
days.
compliments to the chef here while you're
And
rambling
what I was going
about
to say is that
salaries,
he's such a Midwestern guy, so polite and well mannered.
How
And
good
you
is
can
his
tell
food, though?
that he grew up in
Yeah, you
Indiana. That I was afraid to put a fork. I took a bite of this pizza, which I was shocked to find out it's a gluten-free pizza. It's a really good pizza. If nobody ever told me it was gluten-free, I would never have known.
Yeah.
That's a regular pizza.
Well, I mean, but this is good enough. I mean, I don't need the regular pizza, but
Bag that.
if you give it to me,
Yeah, you're gonna
I'm
eat it.
gonna eat it.
Don't start something new here on the show, Mayo, just because
Exactly.
the coach
All
ate
right.
that.
So
The
it's a
coach's
little
not
bit
really
more-
familiar with eggplant parmesan, which looks absolutely outstanding here. But telling you,
Everything here is
Tuscan, people always ask on Let's Eat South Florida, and I have now gotten in the habit anytime somebody says, hey, catering in the Boca area, if you showed up at a party and this was the food, these meatballs are delicious, the pen on the vodka, fantastic. Hadn't tried the pizza yet, and these sandwiches, you were raving about them.
What is this?
You're
Is
not
this
an
a
easy guy to
chicken?
please.
We got a
I
chicken.
think that's roasted pepper.
All right, I got to go in for a Mayo monster bite on this one. Is
All
that
right.
okay? Can I do that now?
Yeah.
I guess.
All right, because
If you're
I was a
asking.
little late. The traffic was brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
but
We only need
made it
a
here.
pep talk from Coach. Can you coach him up to this? This you have to see, people. You have to see this to believe it. This will be obscene and, underage children. All right. Can you do it? One bite. like Joey Chestnut.
Oh my god, man! Every time.
He
look at
can't
him.
do it. He couldn't do it, Coach.
He
Oh, he's
almost
going to need
got a
some
whole
coaching.
thing.
Maybe some more workouts.
Yeah, he needs more training. Oh my god!
Have him run some suicide drills. Yeah.
Holy crap!
if I tried to put that whole thing down,
Nah, that was too
No,
big.
I
please
would have
don't.
needed Dr.
The
Heimlich.
shame is, could you have enjoyed what it was? Because it looked really good.
It's a nice sandwich.
What is that? The chicken parm?
It's like a chicken with
Chicken
cutlets?
cutlet with
Yeah.
pepper. With roasted
Oh,
peppers.
nice.
very nice, very tender too.
It's
Yeah.
really, really
Oh,
well
that looks
done.
great.
I did put a lot of it in my mouth, but I did kind of like the reverse. I would have been
It was
disqualified
impressive. Yeah. It was impressive.
if I was at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. All right, that's it. I got to do my little repulsive act.
Did the circus act. Now talk about someplace
Oh,
credible.
no,
Yeah.
we got here. It seems like some of the team was here.
Yeah,
or-
John Nell, and then there was another guy. Two of the guys that I remember seeing a lot down the stretch of the tournament were both here. One of the gentlemen's still here, and John Nell, who was like the star of the show, had to go. A good kid, and hopefully we can get them on the show. But
What are the
yeah.
rules now? I mean, are they allowed to eat meals, or I don't know the.
There are
the
no rules
NCAA.
anymore.
Oh,
No,
good.
rules are finished.
Because
I don't know.
those
I don't know.
rules
I don't
were
know what the deal
silly.
is. We could have asked him actually.
I
But
mean,
You
people
could
could
be
get
an
in
endorser
trouble.
for this place and trade it out for food.
If you
I would
gave them
imagine.
so much as a
Yeah.
can of Coke, they would be.
well, actually, they could be their sponsor. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they can say that they're like if they have an NIL deal
It's all good. I mean,
with the place. I mean, I don't know. You're seeing the NCAA punish coaches, but I didn't know the NCAA still had any power. So it's a weird world we're in. And Coach May talked about it, and we talked about it with.
That stuff goes back before, though.
I
this
love that the
NIL
special
thing,
brought us food, and then they've
Yeah.
taken all of it away.
that's,
Peach is good. Real good.
you gotta feed some hungry.
I'm not
athletes
mad at
there.
it. I'm just
fine
confused. I'm
with
like, do
that.
we eat it?
I
Do we
got
not eat it?
everything
Is
I
it not
need
for us?
You got in
on
on
my
plenty.
plate.
Well, you got to tell us about one of our fine places here, Mike Mayo. You got in a little late, so your
Oh,
timing's off.
Well, we
Well,
got
it is a Delaware chicken farm and seafood market
right,
Thursday.
it's a
There
Thursday.
you
Even though we might be taping this a little different.
They're
this
seeing it
week,
Thursday,
but it is
so that's what
Thursday.
matters.
Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, Labor Day weekend. It's coming
Mhm.
up. It's almost here.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be going out and hitting a couple of restaurants, but you're also going to want to have some good stuff to cook up at home. Maybe you're going to have a cookout on Monday. Maybe you're going to have some friends over on Saturday, watch some college football. Whatever you need, you go into Delaware and you're going to pick up what you want, whether it's the fresh seafood. They got the Florida lobster tails in season. They've got great fresh fish like grouper and tuna. and even like branzino from Spain, and they have salmon from the West Coast.
Well, they can make it. Your barbecue doesn't have to be just burgers and hot dogs. You can go there and you can have a very eclectic
Oh yeah,
kind of barbecue.
throw some
Good
shrimp
work.
on the barbecue, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
There's
like
that Masters.
Oh.
There you go. Get them around the college community.
Hey,
and
Mo,
you
throw a
start
knish on the grill.
throwing those
It's eclectic.
SAT words around. Yeah, and boom, you can get your sausages and all kinds of the pork, the chicken, the turkey sausage they got there. They got the meats, the steaks, the pork chops, and of course the poultry, which is what made them famous in the first place.
Yep.
All the chicken parts. I mean, there's nothing better when you kind of cook up and grill up a bunch of wings or chicken thighs, and then you have a whole big smorgasbord. That's possible when you go to Delaware. Go there this weekend or today or tomorrow. They're open 7 days. Go to DelawareChicken.com online and check out all their weekly specials and their daily offerings. 4191 North State Road 7, Hollywood, right across from the old Seminole Classic Casino. And tell them the Lunchbox sent you.
Tanya's Tuscan Table, man.
Oof.
They did it again
2 for
here.
2.
Meatballs
Get it
great.
done.
Belle Isle vodka. The pizza's
The pizza's
delicious.
great. It's
Very
very
nice.
interesting.
Very nice. A little different. And all good, man. Any kind of catering. Tanya's Tuscan Table.
Yeah, they do a
Remember
great
that, people. Here on the Lunchbox, if you're looking for a recommendation of the bulk
Oh, and
area
they do
special.
seating. People are coming
Yeah,
in and eating
yeah.
here too. If you want
So
to
it's
stop
great,
by, it's
yeah.
a nice place.
All right, we're going to come back and wrap this edition of the Lunchbox up, a special edition, in a moment.
Want great Italian food in a beautiful beachfront setting? Have I got the place for you? Casa Calabria at the Ocean Manor Resort, 4040 Galt Ocean Drive in Fort Lauderdale. Highly rated across all the restaurant review platforms and totally Mike Mayo's Lunchbox approved. Delicious, authentic Southern Italian food in a cozy dining room overlooking the Atlantic. Live music in the lounge, full bar, and a great wine list. Owner Frank Talrico takes great pride in his family recipes from his native Calabria. Fresh fish and seafood, veal, house-made pastas, and marinara sauces smooth as silk. You gotta try the imported meats and cheeses on the antipasto platters, and don't miss that ricotta gnocchi, fluffy little pillows straight from heaven. Casa Calabria, open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday, closed on Mondays. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. This August, Visit Lauderdale invites everyone under the sun to indulge in the annual Dine Out Lauderdale promotion. This year's options will be more diverse than ever, with fine dining restaurants, casual eateries, and even your favorite cafes and ice cream parlors part of the mix. From August 1st through 31st, scores of restaurants will be offering multi-course meals at discounted prices starting at just $45 per person. Diners can also enjoy sweets and treats, brunches, happy hour specials, and exclusive culinary experiences. This year's lineup includes 3030 Ocean, Foxy Brown, and Lasso Gaucho in Fort Lauderdale, Even Keel Fish Shack and Aruba Beach Cafe in Lauderdale by the Sea, Cafe Max in Pompano, The Cook and the Cork in Coral Springs, Union Kitchen and Bar in Wilton Manors, and more. Restaurants are being added by the day. For the full Dine Out Lauderdale lineup and all the details, go to dineoutlauderdale.com. Beach Cafe. It's a South Florida landmark, and it's one happy restaurant right on the water. Tables literally on the beach. A place where you could dip your toes in the sand, kick back, relax with island vibes, tropical drinks, and live music daily. You know it. It's at One Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea. And of course, it has Chef Chris Nealon and his famed Caribbean Floridian cuisine. With a huge menu with something for everyone. Seafood, raw bar, conch fritters, burgers, sandwiches, salads, deli specials, and of course, that famous Bimini bread. They've got a great staff that'll take great care of you. There's something to celebrate every day. Open 7 days until late. Parking available on site. Happy hour weekdays 4 to 7 p.m. Go check out more at arubabeachcafe.com. Better yet, go in there yourself at Aruba Beach Cafe. Good food, drinks, friends, and laughter are always the catch of the day. When people come to me and say, Mike, where should I go out to eat? I got guests coming from out of town. Where should we go? Cafe Seville. That's the answer. 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. It's a Fort Lauderdale perennial, serving the finest in Spanish and continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly, comfortable setting. Joey Esposito and Sally, his better half, they've been running the place for a long time. It's been open since the 1980s. They got great Spanish classics like paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, and all kinds of great seafood dishes. The stuffed veal chop, That's my favorite. Go to Cafe Seville. It's open every day but Sunday at 5 p.m. for dinner. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Do you like burgers? Do you like wings? Do you like late night food and sports on big screen TVs and cold beer and friendly vibe and great people? Then you want to check out Shenanigans, 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Go to Shenanigans, you get yourself all the good stuff, the fresh fish every day, the black and grilled wings, and of course the kitchens are open late. Go there, tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you.
And we're back on the Lunchbox. We're going to be wrapping it up. Just one quick note as we head into September. Today's the last day of August. Visit Lauderdale, and the Dine Out Lauderdale promotion will be ongoing through the whole month of September. All those restaurants will be still offering all those great deals through the whole month of September. So go online to visitlauderdale.com/dineout for all the details. A lot of the restaurants don't offer the menus during the weekends, especially the holiday weekends, but next week you have plenty of time now all month long during the week and whatnot. Check it out. Dineoutlauderdale.com. Visit lauderdale.com/dineout for the great offerings near you. All right, guys, what do you think? That was a successful
That was fantastic.
outing.
Yeah, great
That was
conversation and great food. Italian's Tuscan table here.
Can't beat it. I love
Boca
that
Raton.
combination of sports and food.
Yeah.
Great
Just leave
combination.
out
Yeah.
the politics, and life is beautiful.
There you go.
So thanks
Special
to
K. Special K.
Thanks to
Special,
everybody
so
here at Talia's
Talia's.
Tuscan Table.
Talia's.
Special K. And thanks again,
Yeah,
Dusty
Coach
May,
May.
all the players. Nothing but continued great success for
You're
the
surrounded by
FAU
greatness
program.
today, Mike
Yes,
Mann,
sir.
here on the
We'll
Lunchbox.
be at Gulfstream Park for our usual Friday hijinks tomorrow. Maybe Tony Segreto, we can entice him back.
I don't know. After Lubie insulted him, I don't think he's going to
See
be
him no more.
around no more.
We'll see. That will be a mystery. But until then,
Lubie has a knack for doing that. Though.
Oh,
He
whatever.
does,
Jeff
yeah.
Tifo DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, Dusty May, the whole FAU program, Special K, Talia's Tuscan Table. I'm Mike Mayo saying thanks for tuning in and enjoy every sandwich.
And the remains of